Faulkner and Ryan Young.
And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sask Ag Today. And it's not just any other Sask Ag Today, it is the special Canadian Western Agribition edition of the program. Ryan Young alongside Doug Faulkner, as we are here to bring you the latest on day 2 of the event. And Doug, we had a pretty busy morning here. We talked to a number of folks.
You betcha. Sean Wilson of Strathmore, Alberta has been named the new chair of the Canadian Beef Breeds Council. He spoke this morning at Canadian Western Agribition here in Regina, and he had some comments about what Donald Trump had to say about putting a 25% tariff on all products from Canada starting when he is inaugurated in January. Also, we will hear from the CEO of Beef Australia, Simon Irwin. You had a chance to speak with him, Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. And believe it or not, this is actually his first time here at Canadian Western Agribition since they signed a memorandum of understanding with Agribition earlier this year. So got a little bit of his thoughts on how the show's going so far and some of the similarities and differences between the two shows.
And you also had a chance to catch up with Darrell Harrison, the new Agriculture Minister for Saskatchewan.
That's right. He was here on day 1 of Agribition. He was here for the burning of the brand yesterday morning, and he spoke with reporters afterward on a variety of issues, from priorities at the legislature to what's been happening down in the United States as well. Lots going on down there south of the border and here at Agribition. But first on the program, we will kick things off with precision weather. You're listening to Sask Ag Today from Canadian Western Agribition. Precision Weather is brought to you by Moose Jaw Truck Shop, the #1 choice for any diesel engine repair. Drop in, no appointment necessary, or visit moosejawtruckshop.com. And Shepherd Realty in Regina, specializing in farm and ranch real estate in Saskatchewan. Call Harry, Justin, or Devin at 352-1866.
The team of experienced farmland real estate agents at Shepherd Realty.
Ryan Young.
Thank you very much, Russ. The sun rose in Regina here at 8:31 this morning, and the sun will set at around 5 o'clock later on today. Taking a look at the temperatures around the 620 CKRM listening area, Assiniboia is around minus 14 degrees, Broadview and Moosomin at minus 23, Estevan minus 18 degrees. Over in Saskatoon, it's minus 22, Swift Current minus 13, Weyburn minus 18, Yorkton and Melville at minus 19 degrees. The provincial warm spot for the hour belongs to Cypress Hills at minus 8 degrees, and the cold spot in Meadow Lake over at minus 27 degrees.
The GX94 temperatures this hour, the Paw is at minus 11 degrees, Swan River minus 16, Dauphin minus 12, Brandon minus 19, Shoal Lake Russell minus 16, Roblin minus 22. As Ryan mentioned, Regina is at minus 17, Saskatoon minus 21, Hudson Bay minus 14, Broadview Moosomin minus 22, Indian Head minus 24, Wynyard Wadena Kelvington is at minus 23. The Yorkton Melville region has mist, calm conditions, 85% is the relative humidity, and the temperature is minus 20 degrees. And that's a look at your agriculture weather. Please stay tuned. Saskag Today live from Canadian Western Agribition will return right after this.
Doug Faulkner and Ryan Young.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Saskag Today. Doug Faulkner and Ryan Young live from Canadian Western Agribition in Regina. And Sean Wilson of Strathmore, Alberta has been named the new chair of the Canadian Beef Breeds Council. He spoke this morning at Canadian Western Agribition here in Regina, and he explains why he's here.
With Ag Minister McCauley, and obviously some of the challenges that we've seen this morning with the new President-elect Trump could be some interesting conversations, I guess, leading out with the possible tariff challenges.
And obviously that could impact beef, whether it be live cattle or red meat crossing the border.
Well, I think we really don't know really right now what it's going to involve, but if it's any product, it affects anything in Canada and the export side, especially when we talk about whether it's live cattle, box beef, genetics. I guess time will tell, but it's concerning. I mean, a tariff is a tariff, so it's going to, we are an export nation, so.
Well, I sit there and I think we're in a free trade agreement with the United States, and you kind of wonder if some of these things might be in violation of that agreement. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was talking this morning with some of our CCA representatives. We're going to have more conversations later today to be up on speed. But currently, we do have trade agreements. Canada and Mexico, NAFTA right now. So who knows? Is this posturing? I don't really know. It's social media blitz. It gets announced yesterday afternoon on social media, and you look at the Canadian dollar this morning, it's off 75 points. So it affects the marketplace regardless. Just the moves in the market. Today, we're experiencing all-time records on the feeder cattle side. Breeding females are commercial. We're seeing sales from $4,000 to $6,000 plus dollars. Selling 6-weight steers at $450 plus. It's huge money right now. And any kind of a move in the market, it maybe is a little tick, but it could be hundreds of dollars a head just with some of these announcements. So I think want to sit and realize and take a big breath, and we'll realize kind of within time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but hopefully clear heads prevail, and we're in a situation that we can realize kind of a fluid trade agreement within U.S. and Mexico that we've seen, and hopefully it stays that way.
I guess we're a little under 2 months away from January 20th. Do you see a lot of guys might be doing as much business as they can over the next couple of months?
Well, I guess that's a good comment. It's just happened in the last 24 hours. So, we kind of want to get more information. Today's day and age with technology and social media, everybody wants to have the answers to the questions before we even get the questions. But I guess a bird in the hand is more a bird in the bush, really. But time will tell. I don't want to make hasty decisions, but if you look in just our province, we have an operation in Saskatchewan and one in Alberta, but I was talking to the Deputy Ag Minister this morning out of Alberta, and just Alberta alone, $16 billion in ag exports to the U.S. So I imagine Saskatchewan would be very similar to that. BC is a little bit bigger with terms of forestry and some of those and produce, but it's big dollars. So if we said $16 billion and you take 25% off of that, that's $4 billion that comes out of somebody's margin. So it's big money. If we just look at values of the calves of a feeder calf, you take the U.S. dollar and put a tariff on, it's big money. So it's concerning, but like I said, hopefully cooler heads and time will tell what those numbers are.
That's Sean Wilson of Strathmore, Alberta. He is the new chair of the Canadian Beef Breeds Council. He's attending Canadian Western Agribition here in Regina. Please stay tuned. Saskagtoday will return right after these messages.
Live from Agribition, here's your host, Ryan Young.
President-elect Donald Trump is threatening to impose sweeping new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China as soon as he takes office as part of his efforts to crack down on illegal immigration and drugs. He says he would impose a 25% tax on all products entering the country from Canada and Mexico, and an additional 10% tariff on goods from China as one of his first executive orders. The tariffs, if implemented, could dramatically raise prices for American consumers on everything from gas to automobiles to agricultural products. The U.S. is the largest importer of goods in the world, with Mexico, China, and Canada its top three suppliers. Bilateral beef trade and Canada's dairy supply management system are top trade issues Canadian Agriculture Minister Lawrence Macaulay is prepared to confront with the incoming Trump administration. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has said he will formally notify Mexico and Canada of his intent to renegotiate a North American free trade deal, and has threatened to put a 10% tariff or more on virtually all imports, a risk to Canada's economy. Macaulay says the Canada-U.S. beef cattle industries are so intertwined and are so vitally important. He says they intend to deal with the Trump administration as friends and be sure that we continue the trade. Western Canada's beef cattle herd is tightly integrated in the continental industry, making it vulnerable to border issues. Many cattle cross the border to other cow herds, to feedlots, and for slaughter. Meanwhile, the federal government is hoping a temporary break on GST will address a vibe session that has gripped Canadians. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland says there's a disconnect between recent good news on inflation and interest rates and how Canadians are feeling about the economy. The finance minister says the tax cut is meant to help bridge that gap and stimulate consumer spending. The federal government also plans to send $250 checks in the spring to Canadians who were working last year and earned up to $150,000. Unifor said on Monday its members at Canadian National Railway have authorized a strike action at the railroad if the parties fail to reach an agreement by January 1st. Unifor, which represents more than 3,600 members at the railroad's Council 4000 and Local 100 committees, says members voted overwhelmingly in favor of the strike action. CN Rail did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Unifor, which represents CN Rail's car technicians and heavy-duty mechanics, among other workers, said negotiations with the railroad will resume from November 30th to December 8th in Montreal. The union had initiated negotiations with CN Rail in September, with bargaining priorities that included higher wages, addressing concerns about the pension plan, and job security for its members. Meanwhile, U.S. farm industry groups want President-elect Donald Trump to spare their sector from his promise of mass deportations, which could upend a food supply chain heavily dependent on immigrants in the United States illegally. So far, Trump officials have not committed to any exemptions, according to interviews with farm and worker groups and Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan. Nearly half of the nation's approximately 2 million farm workers lack legal status, according to the Departments of Labor and Agriculture, as well as many dairy and meatpacking workers. Trump, who is a Republican, vowed to deport millions of immigrants in the U.S. illegally as part of his campaign to win back the White House, a logistically challenging undertaking that critics say could split apart families and disrupt U.S. businesses. Homan has said immigration enforcement will focus on criminals and people with final deportation orders, but that no immigrant in the U.S. illegally will be exempt. And that's the Ag Review portion of our program. Please stay tuned. Saskagtoday will return from Canadian Western Agribition in a moment.
Live from Agribition, here's your hosts, Doug Faulkner and Ryan Young.
The United States has temporarily paused imports of Mexican cattle after a case of New World screwworm, otherwise known as NWS, was identified at the lakeside town of Catazaja in southern Chiapas state. The Mexican government says the United States and Mexico are working on implementing measures to resume the normal flow of Mexican exports. It adds that the measures did not apply to other exports and control measures were being implemented. The U.S. Department of Agriculture on Friday said that Mexico's chief veterinary officer had notified it of the detection of NWS in a cow at a checkpoint near the southern border with Guatemala. NWS maggots often enter through an open wound and feed on living flesh of warm-blooded animals, including people. And that's today's Beef and Forage Report. Please stay tuned. Saskag Today, live from Canadian Western Agribition in Regina. We'll be back right after these messages.
Market update.
Ask Ag Today, live from Agribition. Here's your hosts, Doug Faulkner and Ryan Young.
And welcome back to Sask Ag Today. We're here live at Canadian Western Agribition at Real District here in Regina. We'll go over the Viterra grain prices first, and then Doug will cover the futures prices and early trading today. As far as the Viterra grain prices are concerned, they are mixed. Canola is down $8.70 to $5.24.02, and one red spring wheat is up $7.97 to $271.51, and the rest remain unchanged. Durum $317.70, feed barley $226.57, chickpeas $837.75, flax $605.85, lentils $747.50, oats at $224. Yellow peas $396.77, and feed wheat at $193.15.
ICE futures canola is trading down across the board this hour. January canola trading at $5.80.80. That's down $12.20. March canola trading at $5.94.40, down $11.50. December Minneapolis wheat trading at $5.77 per bushel, down 4 cents. December Kansas City wheat trading at $5.48 3/4, up 2 1/4 cents. December Chicago wheat trading at $5.35 3/4, unchanged. December corn trading at $4.19 per bushel, down 5 3/4 cents. January soybeans trading at $9.81 1/2, down 4 1/4 cents. December oats trading at $3.48 1/4, that's up 3 1/4 cents. And that's the commodities update.
That's right, and more on the program here right after these short messages. You're listening to Sask Ag Today from Canadian Western Agribition. The livestock.
Today, live from Agribition, here's your hosts, Doug Faulkner and Ryan Young.
And welcome back to the program here at Canadian Western Agribition. It is day 2 of the event. Time now for the livestock report. And here is the Weyburn Livestock Exchange.
This is the market report for the Weyburn Livestock Exchange for the week in November 26th. Our last regular sale was on November 20th. D1 and D2 cows sold from $1.65 to $1.82. D3 cows sold from $1.40 to $1.60. Counter cows sold from 75 cents to $1.25. And good butcher bulls sold from $2.10 to $2.23. We had a pre-sorted calf sale here on Monday. The market seems to get stronger every week. 300 to 400 pound steers averaged $5.53 and sold at the $6. 400 to 450 pound steers averaged $5.47 and sold at the $5.89. 450 to 500 pound steers averaged $5.16 and sold at the $5.89. 500 to 550 pound steers averaged $4.92 and sold at the $5.28. 550 to 600 pound steers averaged $4.67 and sold at the $4.95. 600 to 650 pound steers averaged $4.41 and sold at the $4.79. 650 to 700 pound steers averaged $4.13 and sold at the $4.46. 700 to 800 pound steers averaged $3.88 and sold at the $4.05. And 800 to 900 pound steers averaged $3.52 and sold at the $3.84. Heifers were about 60 to 80 cents back from the steers. Some of the highlights from the sale were a group of 370-pound British steers at $6 a pound, A group of 430-pound black steers at $5.84 a pound. A load of 500-pound black steers at $5.28 a pound. A group of 550-pound tan steers at $4.95 a pound. A group of 600-pound tan steers at $4.66 a pound. A group of 650-pound tan steers at $4.35 a pound. A load of 700-pound black steers at $4.05 a pound. And a load of 780-pound Angus steers at $3.79 a pound. This has been Stephanie Daig reporting from the Weyburn Livestock Exchange, the market that gets cattle and the prices too.
And the latest pork prices are at $213.03 per CKG.
Checking the other U.S. live cattle markets, December live cattle trading at $186.90, that's up 40. February live cattle trading at $187.62, down 7. January feeder cattle trading at $257.42, up $195. March feeder cattle trading at $255.87, up $155. December lean hogs trading at 83 even, that's up 102. February lean hogs trading at 88.22, up 230. And that's the livestock market conditions. Please stay tuned. Saskag Today will return live from Canadian Western Agribition in Regina right after this.
This portion of
Saskag Today, live from Agribition. Here's your host, Ryan Young.
Welcome back, everyone, to a special edition of Saskag Today from Canadian Western Agribition. Delegates from Beef Australia are here at Agribition. CEO of Beef Australia, Simon Irwin, says it's his first time visiting Agribition.
Cannot tell you how impressed we are. We're very fortunate to have some people from Agribition come out to our event in May this year, so it's just great to come and see everything that we were told over there actually in action.
Beef Australia signed a memorandum of understanding with Agribition earlier this year for collaboration purposes.
So just some of the stuff we've learned. It's really industry insider stuff. Like last night there was an exhibitor function that we will do at our next event. I particularly enjoy the way the media room here works. So we have our own beef TV. So we have a full studio set up and we do 40 hours of media across the week through beeftv.com.au. But this is a much better way of allowing all the journalists to come together and do it. So I had 34 years in the media myself. I ended up running all the regionals in Australia for News Corporation. But this is much slicker than we manage. Our media centre's rubbish, so we will improve that while we go.
Irwin says Beef Australia got its start in 1988 and has since grown into an international cattle show held once every 3 years.
We do much the same things you do here, except we have 10 celebrity chefs. We have a lot more emphasis on the actual eating of beef. So we say we are for the beef community, not the beef industry. So we would have celebrity chefs. We have 300 free events for the community. We have 276 ticketed events. But apart from that, the numbers are roughly the same. We have about 130,000 people through. We kick 104 million into the Rockhampton economy, and then we have another 70 for the rest of Queensland. So the festivals themselves are very similar, but once every 3 years on our side of the Pacific.
He says Beef Australia has similar challenges to Agribition in finding more accommodations for attendees.
Rockhampton, like Regina, is not overly well serviced by air routes and things like that. So just finding, when you have an event in a regional community in Australia, accommodation kills us. So we sell the town out. You cannot get a booking for 2027 now. So we put up tent cities, we put up glamping, we have Airbnb. Rockhampton in 2023 was the most searched town in Australia on Airbnb. So people are desperate to get there, but you've just got to know someone and sleep on their couch. It's that tight.
Beef Australia has 3 different events rolled into one. For most of the day, it's a cattle show, and then the evening features a family carnival and entertainment for the rest of the evening. It draws in people from 34 different countries. We'll have more on Sask Ag Today right after this next break. You're listening to Sask Ag Today from Canadian Western Agribition.
Ag Today, live from Agribition. Here's your host, Ryan Young.
Once again, welcome back to Sask Ag Today. It's day 2 of Canadian Western Agribition here at Real District in Regina, where for the next few days it'll be the beef capital of the world, I'll say. Daryl Harrison was also here at Canadian Western Agribition the other day, many times over the years, as a matter of fact, but this year was his first one since becoming the provincial agriculture minister.
I'm very proud to be here as the Saskatchewan Minister of Agriculture. I'm just delighted, but yes, missed very few shows over the years, and it's definitely written in on the calendar each and every year.
Harrison was present for the burning of the brand yesterday alongside his federal counterpart Lawrence McCauley. Harrison hopes to meet with McCauley this week.
Yeah, no, certainly when you get the federal agriculture minister in, you want to talk trade. He recently went to China, so I'm intrigued if I get the opportunity to inquire as to how that went for him.
There is concern within the agriculture community, especially on the beef side, over President-elect Donald Trump's campaign promise to implement widespread tariffs. Harrison is taking a wait-and-see approach to all the tariff talk.
Certainly the U.S. campaign was very, flamboyant, I guess, if I can put it that way. President Trump hasn't been sworn in yet, and I know there's been a lot of discussion, in the media, lots of speculation. Really have to take it, kind of one day, 1 week at a time. After President Trump's sworn in, we'll see what it is. He's just, nicely appointing his cabinet now, so we'll have to wait and see.
He was asked for comment on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s opposition to seed oils such as canola, claiming they cause health problems. RFK Jr. has been nominated by Trump for the position of Secretary of Health and Human Services.
There again, I'm going to say it's speculation at this point. I mean, lots of things got said during the campaign, and I'm just going to take a wait-and-see approach right now. I think our canola producers and our canola crushing is at the top of the food chart around the world. We can definitely applaud that product and then back up any kind of scrutiny that is thrown its way.
That's Provincial Agriculture Minister Daryl Harrison. He was speaking to reporters yesterday after the burning of the brand yesterday morning. And that's going to wrap up today's program on Sask Ag Today. Doug, what are your thoughts so far on day 2 of the event here?
Bigger and better than the last time I was here. Last time I was here was 3 years ago when everybody was wearing masks. So there's actually a lot more people here than I remember from 3 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And day 1 was pretty good as well. There was a lot of excitement and buzz in the air now that Agribition is back for another year. And we'll see how it turns up in terms of the crowd. I'm sure it's going to ramp up here as the days go on, Doug.
You betcha, and I've seen a lot of kids go through already, so there's lots of school tours as well, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more as the week goes on.
Absolutely, and that's the note we're going to end on here on the program. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of Doug Falconer, I'm Ryan Young. Have a nice day.